Live. Mm-mm. Good evening, everyone. Dimitri here, Pornography Addiction Recovery Coach. Being hypersexual is a theme that's been coming up a little bit in my life recently, and for those of my clients, and for you guys in the group. I feel there is a focus on pornography and a stigmatization on pornography. And we tend to omit that this comes from a place of hypersexuality. So we maybe blame ourselves or maybe focus on that object of addiction to pornography, and that becomes a negative that we have to rule out of our life. It is certainly also the method that I use, or the angle that I preach. But we must not forget that this addiction comes from a place of hypersexuality. We are not fucked up. We are not weird. We are not inadequate. We are hypersexual. We're hypersexual people. People who have a lot of sexual energy, a lot of sexual desires, a lot of sexual curiosity, a desire for sexual exploration. We are that. Some people could not care less about sex. There are people in the world who have zero interest in sex. And we're on the opposite range of that. We're people who have a lot of interest in sex. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's not a good thing at all. It's just a thing. If you think about people playing curling, you know curling, throwing thing on the ice and the guy with the broom at the front, is playing curling good or bad? Well, it doesn't matter. It's if you like it, you play it. If you don't like it, you don't play it. That's it. That's the end of the game. It's the same for sex. The rules of sex are a bit more complicated than curling. I don't know the rules of curling, so maybe I'm wrong. Feels to me. But in essence, if you like playing curling, you're going to gather with people who like playing curling. If you're hypersexual, you're going to connect with people who have an understanding of that. And those people are hypersexual people. If you get with someone with a lot of sexual energy, you got to meet up with someone who got a lot of sexual energy. And diffuse that energy. There's a lot of people who feel trapped with pornography because pornography is their only outlet. Because they don't have a person in front of them who's hypersexual who can follow them in their hypersexuality. And so pornography becomes this abyss of where becomes this monolateral monologue with pornography, because there's no one in front of us to connect to this hypersexuality. But there's a lot of hypersexual people in the world. There's a lot of hypersexual people in the world, and sexuality is a vast realm where it can help to be specific so we can meet the right people, but it can also help to go on an exploration of sexuality. And there's so much relief in exploring sexuality with other people with whom we can connect without shame. And I just have to heart now a client who just had this fantasy for 1,000,000 years in his life, his 40 years, and he just had permission. He gave himself permission to explore that, and he's single now, and he's just meeting people who are in the same mind space, sex-positive people in sex-positive communities who understand hypersexuality because they are hypersexual, because they crave the same connection, because they crave the same experiences, they have the same curiosity, they have the same desire, they have the same drive. So these people exist in the world. So before you're a porn addict, or addicted to pornography, or addicted to sex, you're someone who's hypersexual. And the addiction is there because there's no avenue for you to create connection out of that. If you own your desires, if you connect with the right people, which is not easy, but it's possible. If you connect to the right people, then there is an outlet for that. And this whole part of you, this whole shadow that's being repressed in your life can come to light and be used to connect to other people. Someone just sent me a love heart. I'm not sure who it is. I can't see it, but I thank you for that. So this whole, like, if 70% of you is sex, let's say 40%, which is already big, 40% of you is sex, then you allow these 40% to exist and come into the world and to create joy in your life. This is magical. This is like the supreme ownership of self. So I do invite you to reshift your identity and if you're not sure if you're hypersexual, it's worth asking yourself the question, do I feel like I'm hypersexual? Do I value sex? Just a way to know that is, do I value sex in my life as one of the key pillars of my life and identity? And if so, you're probably hypersexual. And guess what? It's okay. It's completely okay to be hypersexual. I hated myself for so many years for being hypersexual until I realized there's a community of communities who welcome that, who cultivate that sexuality, who cultivate touch, who cultivate polyamory, who cultivate some weird kink, it's super specific, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not about being good or bad. It's about finding the people to do the thing that you like, so you feel the sense of connection. Yeah, good words. Good job, Dimitri. I like that. So, yeah, I think I've said it all. You're hypersexual. Are you hypersexual? If you are, it's okay. Then if it turns into an addiction, it's because there is a channel that's blocked somewhere. Your heart wants to connect, and it's not happening for a reason or another. You don't have the right people in front of you. You don't have the right circumstances, the right networks, the right intentions, the right communication. There's something that's not flowing, and so it's bouncing back at you and turns into an addiction. But in that sense, indeed, connection beats addiction, and addiction is indeed a lack of connection. So there you go. That's my 50 cents for this evening. Call up the hearts. There's a lot of that theme of hypersexuality around me at the moment, and I want to share that with you. Before you're anything else, if you're someone who's got a lot of sexual drive, you're hypersexual, and it's cool. It's cool. Being addicted kind of sucks. Being hypersexual is kind of good, and the more you own your desires, the more you'll feel integrity, the more you'll feel that you're shining. When I started to be pretty open about sexuality with my friends and my surroundings, and I was kind of known as a sex guy, it was great because girls who wanted sex would come to me, and people who wanted to ask me questions about sex would come to me, and people who wanted to open up about sex would talk to me. And I love sex. I love sexuality because it's pleasurable, because it's interesting, because it reveals a lot about who we are as humans, because it's a beautiful way to connect. So all this, you have this, all this for you, that some people don't have. So it's okay. It's okay to be hypersexual and to explore hypersexuality in a way that's meaningful for you and create these connections around you that make sense. So ways to do that concretely, there's a website called FetLife, which is a community of the fetish BDSM community. If that's your thing, you can try that. There's a lot of local fetish communities or not hypersexual, sexual communities, local sexual communities in your city for sure. The next metropole next to you, they would be such communities. So look them up. Yes. Any other way. If you talk about sex to people, also you'll attract people who are interested in these conversations or in this object of sexuality, and you'll get to have more sex. It's just that easy. But you have to own it. You have to talk about sexuality like it. You value it, you respect it, and you respect yourself for liking it. It's a big deal. That's it, guys. How does this land? What's happening for you? When you ask yourself this question about hypersexuality, are you hypersexual? And does it feel better to be hypersexual than being addicted to pornography? And is there ways out that pornography doesn't allow, that being hypersexual allow? And in that I mean connection to other people and to self, owning the self, owning other people. Why not, if it fancies you? We all have a thing. We all have some desires that are a little bit odd, a little bit different, and that's okay. As long as there's consent, it's okay to cultivate these, and it's legal. It's okay to cultivate these desires. So, yeah, goodbye guilt, goodbye stigma, goodbye all of that. Not needed. That's it. Hypersexuality. I'm glad I covered that. It's a big topic. It's very interesting. So let us know how this lands, and I'm hoping you can cultivate your hypersexuality, maybe right now, not right now, in 1 minute when this video is over, or maybe, tomorrow. And if not, what's blocking you? What's the need that's not met? How can we build strategies to help you, or how can you build strategies to help you fulfill that hypersexuality in the way that's meaningful for you? That's my spiel for this evening, and it's time for dinner. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day.